Hello everyone, and to all the viewers who love LyTuTien and Jack from all around the world. Welcome back. How has your day been so far? Wherever you are right now? I hope this moment finds you in a little peace, a little warmth, and a heart ready for another emotional journey with the characters we all care about so much. If LyTuTien and Jack's story has ever touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel to support us and to become part of our growing fan family. Here, we don't just follow their story. We feel every silence, every sacrifice, and every quiet moment of love along the way. Now, let's step gently into today's story. Some dreams feel like nothing more than a passing shadow in the night. You wake up and they should disappear. But some dreams do not fade. They stay quietly in the heart, as if something deep inside is trying to speak. For LyTuTien, that is how it began. On the first night, she dreamed of a road, not the familiar road of their small town, not the path leading back to the house with its warm yellow lights, but a long road covered in white mist, stretching deep into the dark. There were no houses, no trees, no sound at all. Only a cold silence, as if it had been made from emotions hidden for too long. And on that road, Jack was walking alone. He did not turn back. He did not stop. He simply kept walking forward, slow and steady, as if he had known that darkness for a very long time. And that quiet calm hurt her the most. Because sometimes, what breaks your heart is not seeing someone panic in pain, but seeing them carry their loneliness so quietly, as if they have already accepted it as part of their life. She wanted to call out to him, to ask where he was going, and why he had to walk alone in such a cold place. But her throat tightened, and no sound came out. She tried to move faster, but her legs felt heavy, as if the mist itself was holding her back. Jack was always there ahead of her, not far enough to disappear, but never close enough to reach. Then she woke up. The room was still. Everything looked the same, but her chest felt so heavy that she had to lie there for a long time before she could breathe normally again. At first, she told herself it was only a strange dream, but the frightening part was, the dream came back. It returned the next night, and then again the night after that. Each time it came back, the road felt longer, the mist thicker, and Jack's back looked even more painful to watch. Some nights, she felt as if his shoulders were carrying something invisible, but unbearably heavy. Some nights, just looking at him filled her with a sadness she could not explain, as if this man had been walking alone for far too long. During the day, everything still looked the same. The house was tidy, meals were shared together. Mother Loy was as gentle as always. From the outside, anyone would think life was still peaceful. But after those dreams, LyTuTien began to look at Jack differently. Not with suspicion, but with the quiet attention of a woman whose heart senses something wrong before her mind can explain it. She noticed that sometimes Jack stood outside the door a little longer than usual before coming in. Sometimes after dinner, he would sit in silence for a while, staring into the distance. Sometimes he still answered in his usual calm voice. But the moment he finished speaking, a brief shadow of exhaustion would cross his face. Jack was still Jack, quiet, reserved, always in control. And maybe that was why her uneasiness grew even stronger. Because some people never say they are hurting. They simply grow tired in silence. Some people never complain. They just become quieter. And LyTuTien began to fear that Jack was exactly that kind of person. Some instincts do not come in words. They come as a feeling, a heaviness in the heart the moment you open your eyes in the morning. A normal afternoon, suddenly filled with pain when you look at someone standing right in front of you. The feeling that a person is still near, and yet deep inside, already so far away. LyTuTien lived with that feeling every day. She did not ask him right away, because she knew there are people who retreat deeper into silence the more you question them. So she only watched, quietly, carefully. And the more she watched, the more she understood that the dream was not random. It was her heart trying to show her something real. That Jack was walking through a dark stretch of life that no one else could see. Then one night, everyone had gone to bed. The house had fallen silent. LyTuTien went downstairs for some water and saw Jack sitting alone in the living room. The lights were dim. The television was off. He was not working. He was just sitting there, head slightly lowered, as if after spending the whole day holding everything together, he no longer had the strength to keep pretending. In that moment, she stood still, and then she understood. The road in her dream was Jack's real life, not in a mystical way, but as the road of responsibility, pressure, and all the things he never said out loud. The road of someone who always tried to keep the storms outside, so the people inside the house could remain under warm light. Some men do not leave the people they love. They simply choose to walk through the darkest part of life alone, because they believe that is what love means. LyTuTien walked toward him very slowly. She did not want to break that moment with too many questions. She simply sat down beside him, close enough for him to know he was not alone, gentle enough that he would not feel forced to speak. Jack looked up. For a second, there was surprise in his eyes. Then, almost immediately, the familiar instinct to pull himself back in. But this time, LyTuTien did not ask what was wrong. She only looked into the darkness ahead and spoke softly. "I know, you've been walking alone for a very long time." Jack said nothing, but the silence changed. Then she spoke again, even more gently. "You don't have to explain everything right now, and you don't always have to be strong." The words were not dramatic, not poetic, but somehow they reached the deepest place. Because when someone's been walking in darkness for too long, sometimes they do not need to be pulled out right away. They only need to know that at last someone sees the road they have been walking. Jack's shoulders dropped, just slightly, and even that tiny change was enough to make her chest tighten. Because in that moment, she understood something else. Jack was not distant because he did not care. He simply believed that love meant carrying the heaviest part alone, walking through the coldest part alone, so no one else would have to worry. But that kind of love is also its own kind of exhaustion. That night, no great promises were spoken. There were no loud tears. Only two people sitting beside each other in a long silence. But it was no longer the cold silence of the nights before. It felt like a door had quietly opened, just enough for the first light to enter. LyTuTien understood then that the dream had not come to frighten her. It had come to lead her closer to the truth. Some pain makes no sound. Some bonds run so deep that one person can feel the other's exhaustion, even when everything on the outside still seems normal. From that night on, LyTuTien no longer looked at Jack the same way. She no longer saw him as someone so strong that he needed no understanding. She saw him as a human being, someone who could grow tired, feel pain, and endure in silence. And because she finally saw that, the love in her heart became more than tenderness. It became a quiet but lasting resolve that from now on, if Jack still had to walk through those dark roads, he would no longer be completely unseen. That whether he spoke or not, someone would notice when his steps began to feel heavier, Because sometimes saving someone does not begin by pulling them out of the darkness at once. Sometimes it begins by letting them know that finally someone sees the darkness too. And for someone who has spent so much of life walking in silence, maybe that is the first light of all.